So here's a weird rumor that's been floating around. The PlayStation 4.5, a.k.a. the PlayStation 4K, it's a new, rumored, possibly non-existent thing that would be upgrading the GPU so that the PS4 can handle 4K output, new power supply unit, expansion pack, I guess better play with PlayStation VR. Mm-hmm. What does this mean? I think I've seen more people freaking out about this than actually being excited about it. And also,
really?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of get that concern. So this news kind of trickled out last week, and to me, it just seems like such a non sequitur for Sony to do something like this. I mean, they've released like updates to their platforms before, like we've seen slim versions or something along those lines. But this is something akin more to like the new Nintendo 3DS, right?
Exactly.
So like, Nintendo released a souped-up version of their 3DS with a C-Stick and a faster processor and the ability to do graphics in 4D.
Well, this is it's almost a transition between the DS and the 3DS,
right?
More directly,
sure.
Where it's specifically a visual enhancement. Like obviously,
but I also think it's impossible, like nearly impossible for Sony to pull this off, because it's like even the most souped up PCs have a hard time running like full 4K. So it just seems like they'd have to do so much improvement to the architecture of the PlayStation 4 to allow it to do that.
Yeah, and I'm sure that right now, whatever this is, if we assume this is real and it is in developer hands, I'm sure that this thing is on a massive, giant VCR stereo-sized thing where they're like, okay, it works, cool, let's figure out how to
It looks like the PlayStation 4 dev kits, like
exactly.
steel boxes.
So
It's like,
I haven't really screwed with a 4K TV much. Like I don't really. It's one of those things where I'm kind of feeling old enough that I'm like, I got a good collection of Blu-rays. I like looking at stuff in 1080p. It looks fine to me still. I actually kind of dislike it when things have that Hobbit-looking frame rate. With
also, like our online infrastructure isn't ready to stream in 4K yet.
Yeah.
Like,
but that said, like, what happens if you take a PS4 and hook it up to the 4K TV? Does it just look normal? Like, does it render it at 1080p?
Probably 1080. Yeah. In the same way that it'll render a 720 if you don't have a 1080p TV.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I imagine that might have a little bit of like jaggedness to it. I mean, this doesn't mean if this does happen, I would imagine that it would mean like maybe support for whatever format like 4K is coming to like in streaming services or digital video.
Yeah, when Netflix eventually does it.
See, I'm more excited. Like, all of this, yes, but I'm more excited about what Uncharted 5 will look like, or what Last of Us 2 will look like when they're like, okay, it is a native 4K game, and majority of people are going to play in 1080, and that's fine. But man, if you have it on a 4K TV and you have it in this machine that has a bigger, better GPU baked into it, then you have this spectacular looking thing.
Yeah, did any of you guys see the Battlefront in 4K demo that was floating around?
No.
It was like Battlefront in 1080 or I'm sorry, not 1080 but in like
4K
full
60.
4K. Yeah.
it was just like
it looked like looking out your window at Star Wars. Like it was insane.
Hey, Mom,
like,
Star Wars outside.
Oh my god. Yeah, it was nuts,
Star
man.
Wars outside?
Honestly, I just feel bad for developers, like because that's like I feel like the quality of games we're seeing in AAA right now is barely sustainable, and that's trying to make it happen.
And the
in
benchmark
1080p.
just skyrockets overnight.
Well, and now you have to wonder, like, what are people who are making games thinking about what their game is?
Yeah.
So do they now start making games for the best they could possibly be on this
And then
new
scaling
machine
it back.
and scaling it back for Xbox One or the regular PlayStation 4 or whatever? Or what is the new standard?
I mean, this news also sort of came a week after the big Windows 10 event where Phil Spencer they were just sort of talking about the fact that like the Xbox One's architecture can also now sort of grow year by year, and I don't know if that means that Microsoft and Sony are almost going to take this Apple approach to where every year or two there's a new PS4 that is better than the old PS4. But don't worry, because if you bought a launch PS4, you could still play the games. But then
and that's why I think this is real. That's why I think this machine is coming and it will happen. When, who knows? But I think the iterative technology and upgradable hardware is the future of console games.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, look at the PC market, right? And I think you're talking about like the next platform that Sony puts out. What if it's just called the PlayStation, and then they just sell upgrades, the proprietary upgrades to the box?
Well, then
you know
that's
what I mean?
like iPhone, you throw a number on the end of it, and it's a model rather than indicative of a generational shift.
Yeah.
Or there's like
And it also allows-
lowercase
well, and it
c's
also-
to indicate
yeah.
whatever that
or the
means.
SE now.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, I was going to say
Exactly.
it allows for scale, right? So if you need one that does 4K or you need one that does 1080, you buy the PlayStation SE. As opposed to.
So one of the other interesting things about this is that we saw the PSVR this week, and excuse me, we saw that it comes no matter how you buy it, in order to run, it needs this little sort of external processing box.
Right.
That
It looks like a tiny PlayStation 4. It's
it's a little guy.
That's
It's
cute.
And so they said that's sort of, that the PSVR uses the internal power, like 100% of the PS4, in order to get the image onto your cool goggles, and that this processing box is so that like things can still happen on the TV at the same time. And so what I think, if this thing would exist, I think whenever this PlayStation 4.5 comes out, all of that would be internal in the PlayStation. And then I think that would mean that they would start a PSVR SKU that is cheaper than, that maybe PSVR 2.0 is going to be cheaper and more powerful because it doesn't require this external thing that it
Yeah.
comes
That's at
with.
least 18 months away.
Yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
saying like that's an interesting, like this by 3, 4, 5 years from now, this could be a really confusing generation to be like.
Yeah.
Like grandma can't go into a store anymore and just buy a thing. It's like, well, which thing do you have? And you have to make sure that you have the thing, and you got to buy the thing with the PlayStation
Well,
camera.
it's like
or
building
else.
a PC. It's like, okay, well, I've got
Yeah.
the Sandy Bridge, and I want to make sure that I can get Crossfire, but I also need to make sure this Radeon fits into it.
That's a Mario Kart track.
Sandy Bridge.
There's a hack that you can drive off the side and land right
Yeah.
below you. It's great.
Sandy Bridge went away. Nobody has that.
Do you think some of the, because you said that people were like flipping out about it, right? And do you think that some of the concern is that those of us that have a regular PlayStation 4 will be left in the dust on certain games, like for the new 3DS, right? You can only play
Xenoblade,
Xenoblade
yeah.
on new 3DS.
I don't
Or
see
you-
that being a thing.
So like,
I don't think
will
that'll
there
happen.
be
No.
exclusively PlayStation
No, I think there will
4.5
be
games?
exclusive features like
Uh-huh.
stuff that runs at 4K optionally, or
Okay.
loading times being faster.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they would do that because that would be just like cannibalizing their own sales.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
I almost
20
see-
million people or whatever, right? 30 million people right now
Yeah.
that they're
Yeah.
just like, bye.
I almost
Yeah,
see it
no, it's
as
idiotic.
games you'd be able to change, like a PC game going from high to max settings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah.
Max
Max
settings.
settings.
Max
Shut
settings.
No, I think that also like a lot of people they feel like they just bought a PS4. A lot of people did just buy a PS4. People are always just
Yeah.
buying. Someone's buying a PS4 right now.
You did a good
Probably.
job.
I just bought
You
it.
did a good
Max
job.
just
Get
bought
it.
it.
Buy
I just bought another
Brightburn.
one.
Yeah,
Buy
wow.
Brightburn.
Crazy.
Tape them together and make a PS8.
Wow, that's amazing. But no, or you could be like Chappie and put a whole bunch together and then hack a.
Oh,
Hugh
Chappie
Jackman.
was so dumb.
No,
Well,
Chappie was
Chappie-
really
Chappie,
dumb.
am I
was a
right?
great movie.
Yeah, it was Die
Chappie
On
was
for
awesome.
Trash fest. Also,
Chap-
that guy is the secret worst director ever.
You're an idiot.
No, District 9, real dumb movie.
District
Wow.
9,
Oh, I
real
love
fun
this.
movie.
Me too.
No, Elysium, real
And I
dumb
liked
movie.
Elysium,
Elysium's
real
a
dumb
dumb
movie.
No, I thought Elysium was okay.
Elysium was supposed to be 8 Mile in Space. Elysium was
Oh,
supposed
what?
to. It was supposed to star Eminem.
Say what?
It was supposed to star Eminem. It was going to be 8 Mile in Space with Halo guns. Shut up. I win.
But that's not what it was.
But how many,
Chappie is-
PlayStation 4s did he have?
Chappie is literally a Saturday morning cartoon. There's that part where they show him He-Man and he's like, Chappie, or whatever Chappie says.
Chappie was supposed to be Friday in space. But
Chappie-
they ended up making a totally different movie.
according to Max, Chappie is some kind of Pokemon that only says he speaks only in his name.
I'm thinking of
Chappie,
Wally.
yeah.
Chappie. I like Chappie. Also, I remember talking to somebody after that came out. They were like, that was such a dumb movie. They hooked up a bunch of PS4s together and they used it to hack something. And I was like, yeah, NASA did the same thing.
With the PlayStation 2,
yeah.
right?
I think it's like the 8th largest supercomputer in the world. Is a
Remember
bunch
when I
of
was like
PS3s.
afraid Al Qaeda was going to use like PS2s to like hurt us?
Oh my God, that was like on a cover of OPM, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we the real enemy?
That was real good.
All right, so we went off the rails there. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that like people don't want like they don't want to hear there's a new PlayStation. I get that feeling when they announce a new piece of hardware and I'm like, ooh, that's pretty. It's prettier than the one that I have. Like I caught myself like
Yeah.
eyeing the new iPhones the other day. Like this one I'm due for an upgrade in like December, but this phone is fine. It totally works.
No,
This-
but you had
Do you have
a
a six?
lawn mowing accident.
You have a 6S?
what? No, I have a 6.
A 6.
So I have a 5, and I'm looking at the SE like, that's the exact same phone, but different
twice as
inside.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if I had that?
Yeah.
See, I kind of miss having a 5, but I also like this one because it's bigger. I don't know. This is not
So
an
the
iPhone.
last,
Yeah.
I mean, the
podcast,
last
but, like,
question that you have here is like, would you pay for it, and what would you pay for it? And I think that sort of feeds in directly what we're talking about because I am that guy that has the tech, but is like, oh, that's a better version of
So
the tech that I have.
here's a
Gotta
weird one
have
for you.
it.
What if it didn't have an optical drive and it was just a hard disk?
I would be totally into that. I
Yeah.
just upgraded my hard drive to a 2 gigabyte hard drive. Super easy, by the
Terabyte.
way. Or a 2 terabyte hard drive, yeah, sorry. And it's like, I felt like a kid on Christmas because I downloaded all the games that I've bought since I own my PlayStation
Yeah.
4. I still have 1.3 terabytes.
Yeah.
Damn.
And,
Yeah.
and it's awesome. It's like, okay, I can literally play pretty much any game from here on out until it's time for the PlayStation 5. And it's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
it's great. Like,
And
I would... I'm definitely
need to do
over
that.
the brick and mortar style of purchasing
So, I
games.
haven't bought a game at retail in
It's
3
wonderful
years.
to like set it, like pre-order a game, purchase it, go to sleep, and then wake up the next morning and it's already installed and ready to
or
play
Preload it on
launch day.
Tuesday, and then it's
Yeah.
just ready the minute
But
the
like
clock hits 9 or
the
whatever.
one thing I would miss about that is the fact that like you were playing Max's Far Cry copy, right?
Yes.
Like you can't do that with with digital copies. Like you can't
point.
be like, hey, I've just finished Bloodborne. Like you should check it out.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah,
No,
no,
I
I
don't know.
was-
Game sharing might come back in some way, shape, or form. They've
Man,
been talking
oh my
about.
god, remember that?
Yeah,
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think if this did come out, I feel like this wouldn't be any more expensive. It would just be like this is the new $400 SKU, and then there's a $250
$250 SKU, yeah.
PS4 SKU.
So yeah, I would say, I would pay probably the same price as a PlayStation 4 now, maybe up to $100 more for an upgrade.
But I would
like
have to
that.
note, like the new 3DS is such a like it has literally one game that is exclusive, and then evidently Hyrule Warriors runs a lot better.
Yeah, but
and
you
that
can
game's
change the
stupid, and I don't wanna
faceplates so
play
they're
it.
cute.
Nah.
I only
yeah,
play my
I guess
games
you
in the
can,
dark
yeah.
though.
Yeah.
You can't see cute things in the
Also,
dark.
that screen is way nicer, and the 3D is better, and I don't know.
That's true.
This is not a Nintendo
The three-
podcast.
yeah,
I'm
the
sorry.
3D
I'm
tracking.
You
sorry.
said we wanted to talk about Nintendo this week.
Can we get
I was
can we get
joking.
Jose in here?